The plea hearing for Brian Kohberger, the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students 3 years ago, starts here in just a few hours. Coming up here at 6 o'clock, Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz will have a preview of what to expect. Plus,
stay with me. I can do this, okay? Yeah. I know it hurts.
Bystanders in Southwest Portland try to help a man who was shot and laying on the sidewalk. How police managed to track down the suspect.
also this hour, we're going to look ahead to Friday's 4th of July holiday across the country, but we're thinking maybe this guy takes the cake when it comes to 4th of July celebrations. He lives in Alabama. Yeah, he goes all out for the holiday. Very patriotic. We'll show you just how patriotic coming up as we kick off the 6 o'clock hour of Sunrise. Wow, right now.
Good morning and thanks for joining us. I'm Stephanie Domerat.
And I'm Drew Carney. That story was sort of unfolding for me as it was happening. I hadn't seen that art before, Chris McGinnis, but cool. Pretty good sneak peek right there. We'll have more on that story a little bit later, but you were handling both the weather.
Did he have to let his sidewalk get all moldy first so that he could do that?
That's a good question.
We'll
have to see.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
All right. Really pretty shot here from our Chehalem tasting room camera here in Sherwood with the sun now up. Mount Hood off in the distance and a little bit of marine cloud cover starting to push into the region early this morning. It's 55 there. We'll switch gears and take you to downtown Portland again. We're sort of now beginning to obscure Mount Hood off in the distance with that marine cloud cover pushing in, but the sun again popping up over 55 last check there. We had a pretty prolific display of thunder and lightning out over the Central Oregon Cascades late last night and early in the wee hours this morning. Those have dissipated, but it's possible that we see some more thunderstorm activity east side of the state today. West side of the state, morning clouds and cooler. That is our headline today. After 3 days in the 90s, PDX fell just short yesterday, 89. We're knocking the edge off the temperatures quite a bit. We may not get out of the 70s for daytime highs. So mostly sunny and cooler with a little bit of an afternoon breeze today. All right, let's get you out the door. We pick it up with a traffic alert on the northbound span of the Markham Bridge. We had an earlier crash on the ramp taking you from the south waterfront up to the bridge. I think you can see one of the ODOT incident responders still there. The northbound left lane getting by, but obviously there's some local slowing getting around that this morning. We'll switch gears real quick. Door number 2 takes us over to Skyline Boulevard. There's Highway 26 at the Sylvan Hill. You can see we're zipping right along there. Whoop, lost that camera. Sorry about that. Door number 4 will take us over to the Banfield. Westbound I-84. That looks pretty good as well. Guys, we still have a speed limit commute on most of our freeways this morning.
All right, thank you, Chris. Let's get to our top story this morning. Brian Kohberger, the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students in 2022, is expected to accept a plea deal today.
Sources say the deal would eliminate the possibility of a death penalty and instead would mean Kohberger spends the rest of his life in prison. Our Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz joins us in studio. And Thomas, what else are we expecting in the courtroom today?
Well, Drew and Stephanie, we know some families of the victims will be there, though some have been vocal. They're frustrated a plea deal is on the table for Brian Kohberger after he allegedly killed 4 University of Idaho students: Kayla Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. Under the plea, sources say Kohberger gives up his right to appeal. This comes after a judge denied efforts by Kohberger's defense team to throw out key evidence. One of the most substantial pieces of evidence is a knife sheath found next to one of the victims at the crime scene. Investigators say they found Kohberger's DNA on it. During today's hearing, former King County Superior Court Judge Timothy Bradshaw says the judge will ensure Kohberger understands the consequences of his plea.
When the hearing happens, if the hearing happens, there are 2 things going on: the law and the emotions. So the judge's concern will be, of course, the law, and by that, the judge has to make a conclusion that it's constitutional, that the plea is acceptable.
And it's not just the judge who will have to make decisions. Kohberger will also have to decide if he still wants to go along with the plea. He could at the last minute decide that he doesn't want to take the plea and instead go to trial. Of course, we'll get final answers here in just a few hours.
Thomas, thank you. And this morning at 10 o'clock, we will be live streaming the coverage of Brian Kohberger's plea hearing on our free TV app, KGW+. Our team will hear from people in the courtroom. We will also be there to meet with family members immediately after that hearing. You can download KGW+ anytime on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. Hundreds of people lined the streets yesterday to pay tribute to the 2 firefighters killed in an ambush in Idaho. It was part of a procession from Spokane to Coeur d'Alene to carry their remains home. Along the way, first responders and civilians stood in salute, waved flags, and shared sentiments like this.
There's a lot of support out there, and I just hope that people don't forget that this happened today, that we remember the firefighters today who lost their lives, and that we always remember not to let hate control us and not to let these things continue to happen, because this is truly a travesty.
Battalion Chiefs John Morrison and Frank Harwood were killed when authorities say a man started a brush fire, then opened fire at the crew when they showed up. A third firefighter remains in the hospital. The gunman died by suicide. Authorities have not yet released a motive.
Deliberations are expected to continue today in the rape trial of former Trailblazers player Ben McLemore. We also want to remind you that some of the details in this story are graphic. The case stems from a 2021 house party in Lake Oswego. The prosecution says their client was intoxicated from a night of heavy drinking when she was raped. The defense claims that McLemore had also been drinking, but that the sex was consensual.
There's absolutely no confusion in this case. When you look at all the surrounding circumstances and you assess the evidence in this case, I submit to you that the defendant is guilty.
The only reasonable verdict in a case where two people get drunk and have sex, and the man is drunker than the woman, the only reasonable verdict in a case like that is not guilty.
McLemore took the stand in his own defense last week and denied the rape allegations.
The Clark County Medical Examiner is trying to determine how a man died after his body was found along I-205 in Vancouver. A transportation worker spotted the body yesterday afternoon in the median near 50th Avenue. It is unclear how long he had been there. A man is dead this morning after he was shot yesterday afternoon in downtown Portland. This happened at the corner of Southwest Yamhill and 10th, across from the Central Library. That's where bystanders found a man seriously injured on the sidewalk. Police say they arrested the suspect a few blocks away from the scene within just a few minutes. The victim died at the hospital.
I don't know what happened, really. I really don't know what happened, but we did see him, and I'm so sorry to hear that.
The fact that it only happened 2 hours ago and he already died, that's so heartbreaking.
We still don't know the name of the suspect in this shooting.
All right, you may remember last week the Humane Society for Southwest Washington called a cat emergency after bringing in more than 50 cats to their Vancouver shelter after the cat's owner died. Well, this past weekend, the shelter waived all adoption fees in hopes of freeing up space because of this sudden influx of cats. The good news to this story is that the Humane Society tells us 101 cats and kittens were adopted over the weekend.
That's awesome.
Which is a huge number.
I love that.
Huge number, Chris McGinnis. 101 cats adopted out from the Humane Society for Southwest
Love
Washington.
that story. And it seems appropriate to start then with a shout out to the dogs of the world, right? So I want to introduce you to Norman and Dewey, today's hashtag KGW Dog of the Day. If you want to get a proper sunrise shout out to your favorite four-legged friend, email us dog of the day, all one word, 3 words, all one word, at kgw.com, and we'd be thrilled to do that. Norman and Dewey. Norman's the one on the left, I think. Dewey, the studious one with the glasses. All right, let's get a look at what's going on out there right now. There we go. I wanted to show you the Wells Fargo sky camera. Cloud cover continues building over Portland as we get that marine push coming up the mouth of the Columbia and getting the clouds kind of building westward from the Cascades. 55 last check at PDX. From the Cascades, this is a pretty shot from Timberline Lodge. You can still see some of those high clouds off in the distance there, the result from thunderstorms that exploded over the Cascades yesterday afternoon and evening and then moved off to the east. Now, those thunderstorms have dissipated, but the debris clouds are still there. There is also a chance for some thunder showers again today across that part of the state. Northwest Oregon, Southwest Washington, though, we are cool, we are dry. We're 52 right now in Beaverton, 55 in Salem. Big perspective across the state. Pendleton, one of the warmer spots at 75 or 74 degrees. It will still be quite warm across eastern Oregon today and east of the Cascades, but the west side of the state is now feeling that marine influence. And in fact, Futurecast shows again that cloud cover intruding up through the mouth of the Columbia River and then here into the Portland, Vancouver metro area. So from Portland and points north and then out to the coast, a little cloudy this morning. Those clouds will dissipate and we'll see some sunshine this afternoon. Good looking day and a cooler day than yesterday. And therein is that thunderstorm threat again across eastern Oregon. This is Futurecast just after 5 o'clock later today. Same story tomorrow, rinse, wash, and repeat. We'll wake up to morning clouds, afternoon clearing, and again, it's just a slight threat of some storms across far southeastern Oregon on Thursday. Futurecast insists on keeping temperatures in the 70s today here in Portland. I've got us at 80, but I do want to point out that our modeling with each run has actually come down a degree or two lower with each run. So we may not even make 80 today, which would be quite a change from where we've been. 78 clouds and sunshine tomorrow. The 4th of July still looks awesome. Sunny and warm with highs near 80, and the same story as we go into the weekend. There is a warming trend that we see early next week. How warm, how fast we turn the heat back up, still up for debate, but it does look like at some point we'll be back in the upper 80s and low 90s early next week.
And those overnight lows, that really helps too, Chris. Thank you.
For sure, yeah. Natural air conditioning.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.